Here we go.
I'm on that dope again, I'm on that flow again, switch up the flow again, yeah. Fly in the
So we're here with Cookie from ASP Floors. We're doing something a little bit different with the business, my business. We want to educate customers on the background of the flooring industry. So Cookie is one of our key suppliers. We mainly do European oaks, Australian species. Probably one of the good quality ones on the market, we can say. There are others. Yeah, there are others that think they're good, but they let us down sometimes. So a bit of background on you, Cookie.
Yeah, thanks mate, thanks Jazz. Yeah, I've been in the game now 24 years this year, starting in 99, and just about 18 months ago sold my own business. I was in the engineered oak flooring business.
Yeah, it used to be my competitor.
Yeah, that's right.
We worked together.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. Just down in Oakley South, and sold that business after 10 years of starting that, and been kicking around manufacturing, wholesale, retail, all those years, and yeah, sort of aligned myself with ASP when the opportunity came up as the sales manager. I grabbed it with both hands, mate. Yeah.
No, I remember because as being my competitor, a lot of people did speak highly of you, so it was fair game, you know.
Mutual, mate. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you shut your business down or you sold it,
Yep.
and then you moved to ASP with Kevin.
Yep.
Any reasons?
Yeah, a couple actually, mate. I was using ASP product in my own business anyway,
Yep.
so I think the major thing for me was the two bits of feedback I kept getting were the customer loved the product, and more importantly, to my perspective, is that the layers kept coming back saying, Cookie, just keep buying that stuff.
Yeah.
The grading was really good, the quality was good, stocks were good. The admin here, the owners are really easy to deal with, as you know. And so it was consistency for me. I could get some value out of the product. It was a bit different because the quality of the oak was better. And I just really liked the way that the business ran in the products. And then when the opportunity came to come across a sales manager, it was a fait accompli for me. It was great people. I live around the corner, which doesn't hurt. And a real challenge to relaunch the business down a few other different avenues.
Yeah, I found out about ASP Floors because the owners actually own the factory back in China.
Yeah.
And yeah, with their grading, it's much higher, less knots.
And that was the other big thing, is that they own their own factory, which is very different to just about any engineered oak flooring company in Australia. So we control end to end, virtually as the tree hits the ground to when the flooring hits the ground, we own every single step of the way. Yeah, and that's what I liked, is the fact that we control all the hand selection of the products. We pick our own grading. We've got family members on the line in our factory. So we don't get any surprises when we open the box, or you as a client would buy something and it gets to site. When you get it open, it's, you know, what's on the box is in the box as well. So that was a big benefit for me.
Well, that's why I like dealing with you guys, because any issues, like Kevin's straight on the phone with the factory.
100%.
By end of the day, Kevin's like, yep, we found the issue. Or you call me even, yep, we found the issue.
Yep.
We make sure the next time when we order the new containers that's no longer.
Yeah, and we value our customer feedback better, really strongly in that. Yeah. And particularly you, mate, because you've been around for donkey's years like myself, right? So you know when things are rubbish, and it's not how you fluff it, it's how you fix it. Like, and
that's with the big boys, like when they got issues, you call them up and they're like, oh, but no one else is complaining, and they're kind of, oh, we'll give you a couple extra boxes, and then you end up as an installer killing yourself trying to put these boards together. Yeah. You could be like on the other side of town to get the stock back, you know. Like I've done that heaps of times. We've just packed it up. I've lost, you know, a day or two. Yeah. And you go to the manufacturer and say, hey, like, you know, I've lost some time, you know, can you give me like free courier? You have to pay for it. So that's why, like with Empire Floors, we've decided to just stay away from all these big guys and just try to deal with more medium to small companies, because there's like, you can build up a relationship, because there's not like 50 staff. It's like 2 or 3 guys in the office. And,
well, you know, you call me or you call Kev or that sort of stuff. And we wanted to keep it very much hands-on. You know, we want to grow our business. There's no doubting that. But what we don't want to do is lose controls. Yeah. So the good thing is that because we control it from end to end, you know, from, you know, picking our own lamellas, picking our own logs, cutting 2 mil longer tongue and groove, that sort of stuff, right through to, if you ring me and go, hey, Cookie, man, I'm 2 boxes short in Eltham, I'm not going to go, all right, Jazz, I'll call the courier, mate. We're going to jump in the ute, drive it up there and get the job finished, right? Because it's about not so much where you start, it's where you finish in this industry, I've found.
Yeah.
So, we've got to look after guys today, tomorrow, next week, next month. You've got to have the faith to keep buying it from us. And that's really strong for us, is to have that sort of contact, that touch point with our clients. Yeah.
That's why you guys, you treat everybody like you own, and the quality, like you speak to Kevin or his father-in-law with the manufacturing process, the amount of detail, like climatizing the veneer, then climatizing the plywood separately, and then putting them, gluing them together, then climatizing that, and then always, like Kevin back in the day or ASP back in the day, they've changed their whole range. Like you can see on the wall, all new colors, all new coatings. Yeah. Always innovating. Like they got really good Oz species like on the market. Like you said, you in retail as well. Yep. They're one of my favorite. They don't do that 0.3 or 0.6 mil veneer with 20 coats of lacquer. Like when they say that, it's like, oh, it's got 20 coats of lacquer to make it durable. The reason it's got 20 coats of lacquer is because the veneer is less than like paper thin. It's there to hold it together. I know we went to Tasmania to do a repair because rip up a whole floor because the veneer was literally just walking away, deteriorating because it was so thin. Yeah. And that's the first time I came across that, and I thought somebody was like playing a joke on me. I thought it was laminate.
They put coatings on that. I was going to say,
like, I thought it was laminate, but it was actually real spotted gum, it was spotted gum. Yep. And the lady got a splinter in her Ugg boot, and the builder called us in, and we
would have sheared almost the whole lamella off.
Like that cheese sticks for kids.
We
ended up spending a week there just before New Year, and throwing like 50,000 worth of floor in the rubbish, and then relaying something else.
And that's the thing. Like I had the opportunity to go and work with other companies, and that's not trying to be a big head. I'd just spoken to a few guys before I decided where I was going to go. And I looked at them, Jazz, and I went, you know what, there's no personal touch in that. There's I came from a husband and wife small family business, a bit smaller than yours, but similar sort of makeup, mate, where, we knew each customer by name and we knew each builder and the builder's kids and that sort of stuff, right? So when it came to ASP, I looked at it and went, okay, well, it's a medium-sized business. It needs some rehashing on colours. I think the colours had got a bit tired. And so when I came in, I often say to all my clients, we kind of have a head like a retailer in the heart of a wholesaler. Yeah. So I've brought that retail perspective into it, I think, and that was the attraction to working with ASP, is that they're really good at wholesale, just they hadn't sort of had that synergy with the retailers. So, you've helped us along the way with your input itself, mate, in just saying, hey, guys, I think you need to make a colour a bit like that. And that wasn't a 21-week turnaround for us. That was a 6-week turnaround because we've already got the lamellas done. Ring father-in-law, ring the factory, and Kev's on the phone to them 3 times a day checking in with the actual manufacturing process. And bang, we had new colours on the ground within a whole range within 3 months.
Yeah, look, that's what we were just touching base before we were just chatting. The building industry, I'm a carpenter by trade. I did that half my life, apprenticeships, and how I've been taught, it's always look after the next guy, like the next trade, help him out. Yep. And it doesn't exist anymore. Everybody's just in it for themselves. Going back to suppliers, you call them up with any issues, they don't want to hear about it. They just like, oh, hey, we'll get back to you and this and that. And then, like you do next week, the same floor, and you got again the same issue, like different batch, but the same issue. Yeah. So
we want to try and be much quicker and more efficient on that as well. Like one of the great things I keep telling guys is I've been here 14, 15, 16 months or so now. And I haven't had one call out for even like a hybrid job. And you and I both know that hybrids can be a problematic sort of a product. Yeah. And I said to Kev when I started, give me the ghost file. He said, what do you mean? I said, give me all the warranties and all that sort of issues. He said, I haven't got any. Yeah. And I went, sure.
Yeah, I know he was like very on the tail end of the hybrid because he spent so much time looking at other people that kind of rushed into a hybrid. Yep. I know ended up having serious issues where the clicks would break and the floors open up and they'll have to re-engineer the board and make it. So Kevin was waiting to see everybody's issue, and then he saw, okay, this is how I need to make it. And that's why his hybrid, 100%. When you lock it, even if the subfloor is not that great, it won't snap. I've pulled up some if the subfloor is a little bit out,
Yep.
you can literally just push and you can see the locking system. It's just too brittle.
So how do you live on that floor, Jazz? How do you have 3 kids, 2 dogs, a husband tradie or whatever it might be walking in, entertaining on a floor that's just going to snap? And that was one of the things, because I used the hybrid as well in my own business, and being a 4-sided lock and sort of clicking in the ends and then the sides rather than the drop lock sort of style. And so I said to Kev, what have we got on the books? No warranty claims. And I said, have you had any issue? He goes, we're not perfect. We have things we've got to fix, but what we do is we fix them there and then.
Yeah.
And it's great to see that there's no outlying sort of quality issues or anything like that. So we're really big on keeping those controls.
I know, because I'll bust your chops. Like, I'll call you up for the smallest thing, like me and my dad. But it's more like just feedback. It's like, hey, like we've picked up, out of 100 squares, we have like 6 boards that's had this issue. Like, just bring it up to the factory, maybe that they're not realizing that what they're setting the machine or whatever it is. And with you guys, it's like just small. It's like not even a big deal. Like, you can just fix it or not put the board in.
It falls into the waste.
Other suppliers, like I know how many times, like you're selling a product, from a manufacturer. They're a fairly large manufacturer as well.
Yep.
You're trying to say, these guys are good. We work with them, and then you open the box from the customer, and the boards literally jump up. Like I make a joke, they hit me in the face because they don't climatize it.
The controls aren't right.
The manufacturing process, the factory is so big and they don't have control of that factory because they just go to China, buy the stock, and then they ship it back to themselves. And then when you cut the boards, they open up. The boards are not cut square. The grading is off. Like they say it's A, B, C, D grade, and then you're getting 100 mil diameter knot in a board. It's like, that's not even on the scale.
No, that's right.
And with Kevin, like you guys, you say it's A, B, C, D, and then you're like, there's not enough knots. And the customer's like, oh, this floor's very clean. And
that's right.
So I've never had any issues where customers said, oh, there's too much knots. With other suppliers I've had, and you always have to filter out the boards. And I know my last job, I've had like 30 square meters of just ugly, big knots. They were like EZ boards. And you had to call the manufacturer in, and they kick a bit of a huss and a puff. And
can't say I know what you're talking about, mate. Working at ASP, I know what you're talking about, obviously, but I mean, I'm just being funny there. But all the ASP product that comes through, it's like that, isn't it? Like I've said to the owners quite a few times, and most of my clients, most of our product is unofficially, you could probably easily move that to ABC grade, and some of it even to AB. Unofficially, we call it ABCD. But our ABCD grade tolerances are so much higher than the rest of the market acceptance. There's boards out there that ABCD that have got huge, big, long black gum veins in them, or big splits, and as you said, 100 mil big sort of putty fills. Again, that comes to controls. I said it just before. We've got guys in our own factory, and like you said before, the big guys, they're sourcing product through OEM manufacturing. They've got 4 factories all trying to replicate the same colour to keep with the volume and just shove it down the line.
Look, you can see
straight out of our factory.
It's like this whole panel, there's like one knot there, it's colour match. And this whole panel has just got one vein. Like that's easily cut out. You can start with that, or you can tuck it underneath something.
And when I was putting this together, I said to my guy that makes the displays, I don't want to do sexy sampling. I don't want it to look good, but I don't want it to give customers a false sense of security, right? So you'll see in our dark chocolate HG there that's got a few knots, like you pick out that. I put that in, and then there's not the I didn't know, you didn't tell me conversation as well, right? But it's not like a full freckled floor where all of a sudden the customer's got 3,000 knots in the floor. So again, that leads back to controls and quality, I reckon. And that's where, okay, some people want rustic, and there's guys out there supplying it, that's fine. That's not us. We're just not into that market.
It's a small market.
Yeah, and it's problematic, mate. You know, like you said, dries out, splintering, that sort of stuff.
Boards are one's wider, one's narrower.
Yeah, resale value is not great, because then you're sort of polarising the next people. Because if you've got, like, we've got a colour particularly in our range that everyone says no one can hate that colour, right? Which is like our blank colour. It's got a no hue in it. Mate, you can't walk in and see a colour that's not coloured and go, oh, I hate that colour. Yeah. Some people might not like grey.
So, well, I use that floor, the blank, I call it native, as that's raw. That's because I want a natural. That's the most natural.
Right? Yeah.
And we're gonna, in our new showroom, we're gonna get the 190 boards, cut them into chevrons, but like 1500s, like custom made, to show people like you can turn these boards into
you can.
something
yeah,
else.
They're malleable. You have to be fairly skilled to do that, like yourself. I wouldn't recommend everyone do that, but
it's going to take time. Just do the front into the showroom. I'm going to
a few hours after work, a few beers, stand there cutting it. But yeah, so what we wanted to make sure is that there was consistently quality and service is pretty much the three things that we're worried about.
That's what everybody looks at. So like as a customer, he's looking at that. But as a business owner, that's a floor installer, and I've been doing this with my dad since I was 14. Now I'm 33. I look at what's inside. So Kevin's plywood is, high density. When you cut it on the drop saw, man, if you don't have a Diablo blade, the blade starts squealing. Like you need a quality blade. And even when you're making stair nosings or feature walls, the wood is very well to work with. I know some companies, like I know when it's a crap floor, when you cut it, I don't know, maybe it's just me, when you cut it, it smells like chicken feed. And then when you try to do a stair nosing, it splinters. And when I do my edging with my router, it just like chunks like toothpicks just froze out. And it's impossible to make any miter cut with it.
Particularly we found that, I used to find that a bit on the sandwich construction with the 3-layer. Not bashing that up, there's a place in the market for everyone, but that was the other thing for me, is being a multi-layered ply and such a good source of ply. It's clean, it's not dark, it's not mixed colour graded, it's all very clean. Like you said, it's hard as the hobs.
The best quality test I tell like people is when you pick up a box of ASPs and same like 190 by 15, 6 boards in a box, and you go to another manufacturer and you pick up the same box, you can carry 2 boxes of that, but you can only carry 1 box of this. So just in the weight, just tells you how much more dense it is. And even touching back at that 3-layer, I'm not a big fan of it. I've done one job. I've done a lot of it, but I had this one job where the builder got professional cleaners in, and they over mopped the floor. They were cleaning it like a tile. And what I find is those core biscuits, they're too soft and they absorb the moisture really easy, and then they telegraph. There's high-end people that sell that 3-layer stuff, those floors at construction, for a premium dollar, and it's just not worth it. We just had a customer, I saw last night, we showed him the Black Bart in the 3-layer, and he said to me, is this the best quality? I said to him, no, the best quality is your stuff in the plywood. That's the best, because if you've got a little bit of fuck, because he was in Red Rock, a little bit in the bush, his house was downhill, even if you do a moisture barrier, this and that, just the high humidity during the winter, if he's not there, maybe the floor's going to absorb it easier, and then it's going to expand. And then what I'm going to say to him, you didn't buy the best.
That's right.
So I don't want to, like I said, hide things. That's why we're doing these videos, to explain to people the back end of flooring. It's not, I can buy an engineered floor, for $50 from such and such down the road. Well,
of course.
Is it actually European oak? What are the grading? What's the construction? Have they done any, like you guys get everything's tested here in Australian labs, slip test, fire and smoke, everything's retested here. Again, some companies don't even do that.
And that's, again, quality controls and attention to detail, isn't it? Like, it's our industry, there's a lot of new startups, and it's a lot of unregulated, like every industry. I'm sure plumbers and brickies and all that sort of stuff go through it as well. So unless you're getting fully accredited suppliers, who knows what you're putting in your house, right? Like you said, you touched on that before. It's certified European oak. There's a lot of oak coming out of other countries, because where other countries see an opportunity to make money, they'll do it on the black market, or that sort of style stuff. Spotted gum's a classic one. There's a lot of lemon gum coming in from Indonesia and West Coast African, passed off as spotted gum to get it in cheap, get it in quick, and they don't care about it. And next week they're selling office furniture and LED lighting, right? We've got family money and family heritage and background all rolled into this business, and that's all we do. We don't do ceramic tiles, we don't do anything else. We're just doing engineered timber floors.
Well, that's what I tell my customers, like me, when we were competitors, we had a certain level we worked at. And then we had other people, like other stores that were our competition, and people come in, we went to such as got a quote, but then you're like, well, I've seen their work, like I've seen the products they use. Like, I can't beat that, because we're not comparing apples to apples.
100%.
And even in like now in retail, like we will get manufacturers, never heard of them, come through my door and like drop us a swatch. And you look at it and they're like, oh, we'll beat anybody's price. But I never asked you about price. I asked you, well, I haven't asked you anything yet, but we look at quality. Don't worry about price. You know, the customers will pay if it's a good quality product.
100%. Yeah. It's the market's never changed. If you buy right, you'll be right. And you always get what you pay for, right? Yeah. So you've got a reputation of being excellent installers and to the point of almost anal in preparation, and I say that with the utmost respect. And just to touch on before how you come in here and bust our balls on coatings, mate, I dig that. I love that, because what that does is not only does that keep an open, transparent communication with us, but it means that it challenges us, that then goes back to challenge you. And if we're doing something wrong, let us know. Yeah. Right? What we don't want to do is just roll on and go, oh, well, stuff Jazz, he's just whinging and complaining. We'll just roll on to the next one and put another, 300 stanza displays in there. We're really selective about who we choose to represent our product as well.
It comes back to you.
Yeah, mate, exactly. I don't want 23 long metres of floating floor of our oak being done and no expansions and nothing done properly by some rogue. We'd prefer to actually see our product, and we could probably talk about that a little bit, about direct stuck as well. Just that's that middle to high end finish rather than a floating floor. Our floors can absolutely float. That's not an issue at all. In fact, they probably float better than most with the extended tongues that we do.
Yeah, when you lock them in, they hold. Like you almost don't need the cross-link glue because it's so
They're
tight.
so well machined.
Yeah, and when you do direct stick to concrete, that's why I like working with the ASP stuff, because you can lay like 10 rows. You don't need to really press it. Yep. You can press it a little bit, and then we'll drill and pin and hold those 10 rows. But when they lock, they don't really move after that. And the other biggest thing what a lot of my customers give me feedback from your product is your micro bevel. It's very
cool,
small. It's like 0.3. Everybody else does 0.6. So it almost looks like a square edge.
Yeah, it was really important for us that it didn't look like a river or ship deck. Because I know products out there and I've dealt with them and bought them before, as you said, 0.6. So we've halved that bevel. The bevel's just there for a bit of grace with the floor, but also give the board definition so it doesn't look too flat. It's kind of you kind of want it but don't want it, right?
Yeah, you have to have it.
You have to have it.
I've brought stuff in from Europe with the square edge, and even you did the Australian species. To get it perfect with no lipping, it's hard because you got machining, fluctuation in humidity and temperature. Yep. And if the light comes across it, it's going to look like it's like a 20 mil lip. It's only not even a one business card. Yeah. So that's why I tell people, like, we need the bevel, and ASP do it so well. There are other companies do it small as well, but when you lay it, you don't really notice it.
And we don't have that rough texture on it as well, but it's also not laser cut. Yeah. Like there's a laser cut 0.6 mil out there and it's almost got chatter marks in it.
Yeah, it burns.
You can see it's burnt. So it's a credit to them. It's almost like a rolled edge. It's that minor in it. And we never get any complaints about, does dirt get caught in it and stuff like that. Just doesn't happen.
That's probably the best thing when people say, in the brushing of the wood is rubbish. And well, no, because the coating is done on the very end. Yep. So, like in my house, I've got brushed floors. It's like this, where the kids eat, drop food. Like I've got 3 rugrats, all under 4 years old. Yeah. We bought the Kasha FC7 mop. Yep. It's not a steam mop, it's a floor cleaner. And when you clean it with that, it's perfect. Like in the kitchen, you have to clean them when you're dropping food. You step on a blueberry. Of course it's going to splatter in, but you can wash it out. It's not like it's going to get embedded.
And that's the false sort of pretense a lot. People think if it's a brush floor, it's going to gather rubbish and dirt and grime. Well, as you said, it's coated after the brushing, right? So it's very easy to keep clean as well, which is great for not only just busy families, but builders as well. When they go through to do their final presentation, it's just a light mop with a little Swiffer mop or a spray mop, and usually comes up a treat.
The worst I've had is the painters when they spray, if they've not protected the floor properly.
Pretty fine as well.
Then I just tell them to get a toothbrush and a little bit of diluted
or plaster dust.
Diluted methylated spirits and scrub it out. But that's the good thing about you guys is, like, when you're setting up new retailers and etc. Like I told you, you should get into the shop fit off business. You come up with a design, you give them your system that you implement in your business. You provide them support that you really don't need to provide them. You're helping them start up a business. And you offer them technical data Yeah, other shops, they just drop you those waterfall stands and yeah, go for it.
Yeah, we do things a little bit differently to that. We've still got that option if that sets up there, but we're more about partnerships. So we've been designing, and I've been predominantly in charge of that, of designing and creating bespoke showrooms for partners, so we don't have to have 500 accounts. It gives our customers some protection as well. And so then that's not only right through to, we cut 280mm long, 10 of each of our colours, fully wrapped, labelled, and ship them out to clients for free. And that's for the life of our partnership. So like yourself, you'll see that pallet turn up every 2 or 3 months or as you need it. Nothing worse than showing a customer through, spending a couple of hours and they go, oh, can I grab a couple of samples? You go out the back and you go, oh, I haven't got them.
Yeah.
We want customers just to be able to go, oh, ASP, yeah, no dramas.
Yeah, you guys, yeah, you drop them, it's all wrapped, ready to go.
Yeah, all done on a table saw by a shop fitter as well. So they're all clean cut, all presented really well.
Yeah.
And everything like you see here, all these boards and panels mounted, labelled. We can engrave, as you well know, do all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's why I'm doing this, these videos now, getting like you on, maybe get, people in the glue industry or other installers, because, competition's always good. I just believe I want to compete against somebody in the same level as me. Not customers get in, like I said before, I went to such as down the road and it's like, well, go back and have a chat to them, start talking technical, and you realize they're just going to sell you a floor that they don't really even have passion about that supplier, and they're just going to send you an installer. And then I've seen, you look at like Google reviews from some of these like shops, and it's like, oh, they've come in and no one told me about subfloor prep and they want like $6,000. And then you're like, holy crap, that's worth more than the floor.
Yeah.
So like when we quote jobs, we go explaining what makes you special, what makes us special, the quality control we do, how the job should be done, potentially like volume builders. I tell people, look, it's a volume builder, it's a new home. Don't think the subfloor is going to be like flat. It's got to need prep work. The one we're doing in Donvale, they pour the slab in torrential rain. So we've had to come in, flood it, do a moisture barrier, drill and do testing.
Virtually lay another micro slab on the top.
Because we know what's happened to that slab and we need to like protect ourselves and also protect you. I don't want to do the job on the cheap, just do a 2-in-1 glue and hope it holds and works. And then something happens where the moisture comes through the slab into the floor and then, it's chipping, it's peeling, and then me and you in an argument back and forward. I'd rather just do it right. And if there is something wrong, it's going to be minute. And if it's like 1 or 2 boards need to be cut out, I'll cut it out. I'll probably just bring you, hey, like something happened. This is a stupid error. Just send it back to your factory. Because there was a couple of times where like you can see the machine got the board and took much out of the router, out of the board of the router, and you can't even see it until the light shines. So I've cut it out. I sent it to Kevin. I said, look, you've got a 4mm veneer, then it goes into a 1mm, then back to a 4mm. And then he sent that back to his uncle, back to his father-in-law. And they've gone to see which machine is doing this.
And recalibrate it, find out what's wrong with it. And that was about like just keeping the communication open, right? And that's about trust and partnerships as well, because as well as I do, if you saw that on another company's product that wasn't as sort of open to that feedback, you'd probably just throw that in the bin and not even mention it. And they don't care as much. So we're really,
I give you the feedback.
Yeah, come back and tell us, man.
Yeah, and you're like,
we're quite happy to hang back after hours if you're running late. We've done that plenty of times. Stood out the back and had a cold can of Coke and after hours and sort of walked around the warehouse and talked about it. And that's what we want. We just want that touch point and that relationship with our retailers and customers as well. So, mate, we're really happy with the way the product's progressing. We've got even some new colours which you haven't even seen yet coming through, which is
designer. I keep saying Kevin's the big boss here, but he doesn't want to be on the video of us. He's too shy. But maybe next time we'll get him.
Yeah, we'll get him in.
Like we had that issue of that parking tree. You stood back, waited for, I think, my dad. You swapped the stock. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is.
You've sent the feedback.
It doesn't bother us at all.
And I said, like, we had discussions, like, all right, we were doing direct stick to concrete. The boards were a little bit bowed. To try to filter which one's bowed, which one's not, we're going to open up too many boxes. And we just made a decision, look, at the next job where we do the herringbone on chipboard or a timber subfloor, we can nail it so we can minimise that bow. Because when you've got a 900mm parking tree and you're laying it on a 45, you can't have bows because it's going to
Tolerances are too low, mate.
On a floorboard, we can drill and pin it and weigh it down.
Yep.
But on herringbone, I tell people herringbone is like an artwork. Like it takes time. Like I see people like 100 square meters in a couple of days. I'm like, man, we're there for a week.
Yep.
And then you see like these people take like a video of them laying the herringbone, and then tomorrow another video of like 3 guys crawling on the floor. And it's like, oh, what are they doing? Well, they're filling all the gaps because they've not lined up the boards. They're just gone super fast.
But don't you know reality TV? You can do this all in 12 weeks. You can build a whole house in 12 weeks, Jazz.
Yeah, just cut it. Yeah, so you guys do the oaks?
Yeah, so
hybrid.
we do oak in a couple of sizes, so 190 wide and 220 wide. We do herringbone in 6 colours, but we do it in large format. So 900 long, you just touched on that, 900 long, 150 wide.
Yeah, I remember me and Kevin had the discussion.
About the size.
He was getting my input, and I said to him, yeah, I reckon 900 is like the perfect size.
Yeah.
It just looks clean.
And we didn't want to be, because we're not like everyone else, don't be like everyone else. So all our oaks are all 15 mil thick with a solid 4 mil veneer on the top, not 2, or you touched on before, down to 0.6 and 1 mil and 1.2. They're 4 mil. And in my mind, and I've always said this to when I had my own business, you're looking at a 40-year veneer.
You know what's the best thing, touching base? You know who I'm talking about. They put 14 mil, and today's veneer is going to be 2 mil, tomorrow's veneer is going to be 3 mil. So they actually don't print on the box the veneer size. They just put 14 because it's whatever they feel like.
Yeah, whatever comes through.
See, people don't realize that, and it's all the little things. And I tell people, like, go home, sit down, process everything, pen and paper, and you'll realize what you're getting. And you'll see, okay, I'm paying that much money, but what am I really getting?
And this is what I say to my customers that tell their end users is that, it doesn't sound like much, but 4 mil is 25% more oak, right?
Well,
so that's
another
another life
color
cycle.
like this. A light color like this, you can sand it back to raw twice. You can buff it and recoat it 1,000,000 times.
Yep.
But a dark color like this, if you got a 2 mil, you can't sand that because it's not enough. Even a 3 mil, you're on.
It's a one-time use floor, right? So the 4 mil veneer is like saying, well, we want to we're building our forever home, and a lot of people are, and they're raising their families, and they go, okay, so what we want to be able to do is have a hard-wearing floor that's easy to clean. That now that we've, like yourself, got 3 kids under the age of 4, as if you're not busy enough, right? You just thought 3 kids under 4 would be a good idea.
That's the wife.
That'll keep you busy, right? But they want to be able to go, okay, well, if we're going to buy a high-end product, we want a high-end result. And in 15 years' time, when the kids are a bit older, we'll move them out for a couple of days, we'll get it resurfaced and refinished, and then that'll roll around again. And this is the big thing I say to my clients is that 4 mil veneer it's almost like eating filet mignon every night, right? Yeah. You don't ever have to go down to your steak sandwich size pieces. It's a big chunk, and it's actually then sliced down the length of the trunk.
That's what I was going to talk about.
Not peeled.
Yeah, when it's peeled, the boards bow a lot because you're peeling it.
It's like a pencil sharpening, right?
Yeah. And you sometimes get a more checking because it's only 2 mil. It's not much. Yeah. And then, if humidity fluctuation, it'll crack easier. Well, the 2 mil's got a place. If someone's like, oh, I'm building like a investment property,
absolutely.
or like something you put on Airbnb, they want to make it presentable. Yeah, but these are I sell 2 mil. We've never had issues with it, but it's something you need to be aware of. And sometimes it's a matter of just repairing the boards that have split or cracked, and then buffing the floor out, and hopefully you don't have more like those issues ever again.
But we don't want that cost to be on the customer. For the sake of, you're right, there is a spot for 2 mil. Absolutely agree. Sold plenty of it myself. As
probably ideal more as a floating floor.
Yeah, and you do, and there's a spot for everything in the market. But like when you go into the 4 mil veneers and things like that, and you're looking at longevity in the product, like you just said, you can recoat it a couple of times. You can do all those sort of things. Back onto how it's manufactured is kind of cool because to get that 3 mil veneer, it's all peeled off the log. Like if people weren't aware, it's like a pencil sharpening, right? Yeah, it's so like they put the log in and shave it, right? Yeah, like a lathe cut. To get the 4 mil veneer, it's like cutting a block of cheese. Yeah. So we get the log, we square it off, and then we just slice the length of the actual grain. So because trees grow upwards, trees don't grow like that. Yeah. Right? They grow solid like that. So then we cut it off the side. So what that gives us is great stability as well. in our product, but it also gives us a better idea of being able to grade it, because wherever there's a branch coming off, we can cast away, whereas when you're peeling it, it's all the way through that actual peel.
Yeah.
So that's why you get a lot of feature pieces in that
knots.
peeled piece. Yeah. So not saying it's not great flooring, it's got a purpose. Is it the best you can buy? Absolutely not, in my 20-odd year opinion, and that's what I'm here to talk about. But the solid full mill, as I said, I once had to explain it to my father-in-law, and I gave him the same analogy. It's just like slicing a block of cheese. It's consistent, it's solid, you can pick it up. But then if you run a potato peeler over the block of cheese, it's really thin and it's curly. You've got to steam it flat, right? So the board's under tension to start with, and you've got to muck around with the humidity because it comes out peeled. We all know when you sharpen a pencil as a kid, right? And you sharpen the pencil, all the shavings are like that. For you to lay that flat on a big scale, you've got to press it and steam it and put different humidity into it. And that's where we find that our boards tend to not have those issues jumping out of the box, hitting you in the face, because they're all beautifully acclimatized.
Yeah, because that cutting the board like that, it's obviously cheaper
absolutely.
Manufacturing. There are some companies that they do it well. I've never had issues, but then I asked some other companies that do it, and it's like bowing, checking, splitting, and all that. And what I was going to touch base on was if somebody says this is my budget, I want more of a floating engineer. Well, I'll tell them, well, you're not going to pay this money and float it. You're kind of wasting the resoundability. Just use the 2 mil stuff or 3 mil stuff. And if it serves you well, you can pull it up, put it back on marketplace and resell it. Somebody will buy it. Or if you're on a budget, you can put that as well. I've never had issues with it, but these are potential. It takes one person on the factory line not paying attention and setting the machine wrong or putting the wrong coating. But if you're aware of it at the beginning, it's not like we're going to walk away from the issue. We'll work out, the solution. Is it buffing the floor or ripping out the whole floor? But even that, you bring out now a chevron as well. I suggested in the 30 degree because everybody does the 40. It's a bit too sharp. The 30 degree angle.
Yeah, so we're looking at that. That's something for 2024. We're also doing a range of some more architectural and designer kind of colours. We'll be launching 6 new colours in that. That'll be a little bit more chemical reactive sort of. And what that means is it's just got a little bit more variation in the board as well. Don't be scared about, to all the people that don't know out there, don't worry about the word chemical reactive. It's not like dipped in Roundup or anything like that, right? It's just a process that brings out the natural tannins and the natural effect in timber, but also gives a variation between board to board. What we're finding is that our boards are very consistent. For timber, that's a dangerous word, as you know, but in our range. So it'll just give that little, almost like a 3D look into the board. But we're innovating all the time doing that sort of stuff.
With the chemical reaction, like other companies, it's not consistent. One batch is one colour and then the next batch is a totally different
green
colour.
and all that sort of stuff.
So that if you can make that consistent to a degree, because it is chemical reaction, it doesn't take much to make the colour go totally different direction.
Wrong. So again, like you touched on before about Kev before he launched the hybrid, we've been working on the chemical reactive for 12 months and we still haven't launched it yet for those exact reasons, mate. There's some basic factory samples out the back, but we won't just rush and be reactive to the market and for the want of a better term and just go, other people are doing it, let's just do it. We're not going to do it till we know it's absolutely as best as we possibly can do it. Because and I know we've both bought chemical reactive product before, and particularly in greys, and it's green. And you're out there with designers and the layers over here and the floor's ready to go.
The customer's crying.
Screaming, right? Because the batch has turned up, the furniture's on the front lawn, it's going to rain this afternoon, and all of a sudden the stock doesn't match the sample panel. And that's the other thing, is that we're constantly trying to give people new sample panels of new batches. We can't keep every single one, but by doing those sort of freebie 280 giveaways, that also helps us for our clients to keep the current stock coming through their shop. So if they do notice that the current sample, the giveaway, is not against their 3-year-old sample that's not quite right, then we'll change the sample, not change the giveaway. So we'll come in and go, okay, well, let's update that and make a current one out of current stock, right? And that's on us. That's not on our customers to have to do that. And that's just because natural attrition, things change, right? Different batches of timber come in, like you said, different blokes on the line at times that can hurt. What we don't have, and I'll reiterate this because this is one of our big points, is it's not from another factory. So we can chase every single thing back down through our line, almost like a chain of custody, to the point it was that bloke on that day, on that shift that did that.
Yeah, well, that's what the herringbone, we found out that, you know, there was a bit of stock short, and they needed to cut another board, and that was the issue, and they realised, well, that didn't work, let's not do that again. If
That's right.
Stock, we won't make
kiboshed all that and sent that all back.
Even that, like, if I call you up and I'm like, hey, I've got a customer, they've chosen like whatever white smoke, you know, can we get a couple boxes? No problems. You don't even send me an invoice.
No.
We take it to the customer, they're happy, they look at it and make the deal.
Absolutely.
Other shops will send you an invoice. It's like, well, I'm trying to help you, you know, make it, you know, sell your product. And like some other companies, like one day the color's this, next day the color's that. And you tell them, well, you got an issue with your colors, they're not consistent. I have to do that. With you guys, because we lay a lot of your stuff, we know it's pretty consistent, but I just do it to be different. Kind of like telling people my secrets, my competitors must start doing the same thing. Because to make the customer confident and comfortable, because you're not buying this, you're buying what's in the factory. And sometimes it's going to be a little bit more creamy, a little bit bluey, a little bit yellow, a little bit pinkish. But it's slight. Like some people, like we'll bring it in and I'm like, oh, I just had one. I'm like, I'm not too happy with it. And they're like, why? I'm like, I see a little bit pink. And she's like, no, I love it. And I was like sweating. I'm like, and she's like, no, I want it. And then we allocate, I call you back up, that batch number, wrap it, I'm coming with the check and take it.
Mate, that is ASP in a nutshell, right? So approachable, open, quality assured, quality focused, to the point that we've had customers send their customers to us to have a look at the brushing level on stock. So
you're not a big fan of people coming here for safety reasons, but you still do it.
But I'll grab a box out of the warehouse, bring it in here into the showroom and open it up in front of the customer's eyes and go, what do you reckon? And they get to literally see their stock. Now, when you're dealing with the massive big conglomerates that are just churning it out, there's no way they can give that to you.
I had one, I called up my rep, I'm like, hey, I've got a customer, it's a pretty big job. He wants to come into your showroom and have a look at the current batch. He's like, yeah, no worries. He's not relayed that back to the office, and he's walked in and the office staff have just gone, oh, who are you? You can't be here. We don't do the public. And he's called me up. He's like, oh, I don't want to buy from them. They're really rude. They might have the best product in Australia, but how they've acted. And I've done the right thing. I called my rep. I said, hey, it's running something past you. You know, it's not like a 20 square meter job. It's, you know, a few hundred square meters. You know, he just wants to come have a look. You know, I'm on the tools. I can't run across.
Happy to do that.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, no worries. Me and you, like, it's not an issue. As long as I give you some heads up, you know, work something out, and you've got a showroom here.
We were doing the same thing Friday night before the long weekend. Had a layer who needed to pick up 13 boxes. He sent his wife down here at 6:30. We finished at 5.
Yeah.
So I went and got a coffee, came back. I mean, it's fortunate I live about 10 minutes around the corner. But that sort of stuff, it's only 13 boxes, but it's important to him because he was laying it on Monday.
Well,
and we weren't here Monday, right? So those sort of things, Jazz, like, you know...
It's that last 5-10%.
It is, mate. It's all about... You don't always have to be better. You have to be different.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to bring an approach to the market that hasn't been seen before, because we've got the opportunity. We're not trying to turn the Titanic here. If you come to us and say, hey, Cookie, you know what, I'm running late tomorrow. I'm going to need to pick up 20 boxes. I'll be there about 5:10. You're never going to hear us go, oh, sorry, mate, phones switch off at 5. We can't do it for you.
Yeah.
No, me or Kev are going to stay back and do
compromise,
that. Yeah, mate, it's loyalty.
Even when we do like the skirts, we put the skirts back. We just did a job in up there in the Safety Beach, and we put 100 mil that Thor sticky tape for the painter. Yeah. I put it for the quads, but he didn't want to take the skirts off, and I don't like doing like quads. I like to take the skirts off. But in this situation, we did it. And he's like, oh, like you just saved me heaps of time trying to mask up to the quad, and now he paints it, grabs a brand new Stanley braid and just peels it off. And we do it for most of our builders, and helps the painter out, you know, helps the builder out.
Hence the fact you booked out for months and months in advance, mate. Yeah. Because it's the little things that blokes don't forget, or blokes or women don't forget, is that it's about making sure that the process is right. And how does it make them feel at the end of the job? Well, people notice that stuff, mate. Because when they're relying on trades, and you and I were talking about this just a bit earlier, but we're also talking a bit off camera about going in and then the next trade looking after the next trade, instead of you having to clean up, you know, walking because you're the floor layer and you've got to clean up plaster blobs all over the floor, and you spend the 3 hours and the builder doesn't want to pay you for the clean up and he's ringing the plaster and mate, spend 20 minutes with your apprentice and clean up your plaster, and the next thing is the floor layers going in, and everything's just going like this. So then we're all trying to push in the same way, right?
Yeah.
And we've got this thing that we've sort of adopted. Fortunately this year I'm a Collingwood supporter, so I've sort of grabbed this from Collingwood, but it's a real side-by-side approach for us. So we're not sitting back here just pushing it down the line. When you're on a job and you've got a question, right, we'll go and stand shoulder to shoulder with you and try and figure it out. And that's how Kev and I are sort of working the business. And you do that with your customers and your builders, and that's why you come so highly regarded in the industry. And I know your mum and dad are heavily involved in your business as well. And that's a testament to yourself. So when you're working with us and we're working with you, and we're doing quality and you're doing quality and you're taking your time and we're taking the time, mate, it kills a lot of the errors that can happen.
Yeah, and people appreciate it. Like we did a job in Mount Martha. The builder wasn't a builder, it was an owner builder, and we took all our rubbish because there was no bin, there was nowhere to throw it. And he's like, man, everybody else just left everything in the garage, and I'm here, trying to pack it all and take it away.
Yep.
And some people appreciate it. Like builders have like those bins, we'll just put it in there.
Yep. But it's all the 1%ers, mate. It's the 1%ers that all add up to getting 100% right. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. So we'll wrap it up. We'll do another one soon.
Yeah, always a pleasure, mate.
Kevin.
Yeah, we'll have to give him a couple of stiff drinks before he comes in. He's a bit shy.
We'll do it like Joe Rogan. We'll get some whiskeys and some
cigars, some stogies and stuff.
Yeah,
no dramas, man.
Nah,
All
easy.
good. Excellent, man. No worries. Thanks, Jess.